Going to get to, and we are joined by Ivy Walls, founder of Ivy Leaf Farms in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas. We have our entrepreneurship class here at Velma Jackson High School, and we're recording this for our friends at Germantown High School, Ridgeland High School, Madison Central High School, and for our YouTube channel. So we thank you so much for joining us. You got a really cool story of how you started, and before we talk some about how you run your business and some things, I would love for them to hear how Ivy Leaf Farms came about.
Definitely. So I grew up on a farm, 5-acre farm inside of the city. And so growing up, we had chickens, horses, the full farm. And I went off to college, graduated, started working for the CDC. And during the pandemic, I was like, I this is not what I signed up for. You think you're ready to get in a hazmat suit and run right in, but when it's in your face, it's a total different feeling. And so I started getting into gardening, and I wanted to create a beautiful space, not only for myself, but my family. Moving to my neighborhood, I realized that there was a food desert. And so I thought about what I could do about it. As a community-based entrepreneur, serving the community is where my heart is. And everything else is just a product of that. So pandemic, plant, parent is really where I'm at.
Yeah, and that's great. You're talking about social entrepreneurship, because that's actually what we're going to be talking about in this class next. They just don't know it yet. But you definitely saw a need that needed to be met, because I know in your news speech you talked about there wasn't a lot of healthy food options, and people were uneducated about things that they could have a healthier lifestyle in the Sunnyside community.
Definitely.
Now, tell me this, because you went to Prairie View A&M, which up here in Jackson State territory is a big robbery. Our SWAC friends we're all family, but you had the degree in biology and chemistry, and you had a background in gardening. But I have a lot of guests from across the country in this class, and they all say kind of the same thing. They say they had the skill and the hobby and the love for it, but they didn't have the business background. So how much of a learning curve is there? Because obviously you're a very intelligent person with science and with gardening, but the business side, how much did you have to learn in order to run a successful business?
Definitely. So previously I had run a lot of online e-merch, commerce, easy businesses where you upload it, you ship it, you send it. That's it. You don't have a customer. You don't talk to them directly unless it's through email. So the biggest curve has been having actual customers that have to shake hands with, smile, and making sure that I'm keeping them coming out to the farm, because essentially I'm running an agro-tourism business. The vegetables are an after product. So I did not put any pressure on myself to grow vegetables as a way to make money, because you can have a great tomato year, you can have a bad tomato year, and it's the same soil. You can have a hurricane, you can have a freeze, all of these things. So I had to eliminate the vegetables as essentially in my business plan. And so I came up with different ways. I kept the merch. I started an outdoor wear company, which is something that I was easy. I already knew how to find a vendor, get something manufactured, and I knew a system of shipping, right? So I kept what I knew, and I added on the events and planning, and I just think of every event as a party.
That's awesome. Now, and just for clarification, especially those that have been watching this later, you guys have the farm and you sell the seeds and you sell the apparel, but you guys also have experiences where you actually turn it into an educational type thing. So, talk a little bit about the services you offer along with the products you sell as well.
Definitely. So, we offer gardening education courses. There are a lot of clubs like Jack and Jill, or like the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. They come out, we charge them a small fee, $10 a kid. They get to get an education, and then they get a small mini garden to take home. So parents are always looking for something for their kids to do. They're always looking for representation in different areas and fields. And so that is what we've capitalized on in gardening education. Also, because we're so close inside of the city, there are not that many major farms inside of the Houston area that have acreage beyond lots. And so we were able to utilize our field as a pumpkin patch.
Wow.
And so we did a small pumpkin patch. I sold 300 tickets a day, sold out, and then I had some walk-ups. So we've had like 1,000 people come out from a Friday to Sunday standpoint. $3 a ticket. You find the pumpkin man, you buy his stock, and it's just all a flip. Anything in business is buying something for lower, selling it for higher, right? The same concept. There's no pumpkin patches beyond the fall, but there's a surplus of watermelons. So then I did a watermelon patch. Same thing. You have moving people in and out, buying something for lower, selling it for higher.
Yeah, and that's a basic concept, but it's amazing because I've had several students come out of this class that have started their own business, whether it be just a part-time side hustle or something full-time. But a mistake I see a lot of young entrepreneurs make, especially Black business owners, is they don't charge enough because they're just thinking these people don't want to pay a lot for this. I can't charge a lot. But like you said, if you're gonna, you have to. Obviously, you don't want to overcharge yourself out of the market, but you have to create that perceived value to say, look, if I pay this, I'm really getting my money's worth. So what are some ways that you can combat that?
The first thing I say is purpose isn't free. Just because you feel like it's your purpose, it's because it feels like it's your passion, it's not free. So, of course, you give your first dibs at a price that you can stand up to, right? So if you know that you're not a $30 product, don't charge as you're a $30 product. Do 15 or 20, right? Something that you can give a great experience to. Once you've done it, once you can replicate that experience, then you can charge more for it. But passion isn't free, so don't undercharge yourself, right? You have to pay your bills. You have to pay for whatever you want, but don't overcharge because you're trying to fit your lifestyle. So there's two different things. You can't overcharge like hairstylists now. When I was getting my hair done, a sew-in would cost $40. Now it's $400, $300, right? Some stylists did not get better, but they moved up with their lifestyle. So just be able to maintain and speak for your product, speak for your business. And not everything is about making a lot of money. Sometimes it's just about making money.
Yeah, and you've mentioned this twice now, and I'm glad you have, because you talked about face-to-face interaction and speaking. And these kids want to get so mad at me when I make them present in front of these small classes we have, like I'm picking on them. But it's not to be mean, but the face-to-face interaction with customers, even as an employee, even if you don't want to be a full-time entrepreneur, that is such a necessary skill to sell anything. And if you're going to work for yourself, if you don't have it, you're not going to be in business for yourself long. So what have you had to learn, and how can people get better at that to see how important it is? Because at the end of the day, you could have a great concept, you could have a great logo, a great product, great bookkeeping, but if you can't sell it, nobody's going to buy it. So how do you get better at that, and how do they get better at that?
I would say everybody has a story. Everybody has a dollar. Not everybody has to give you their story or give you their dollar. But if somebody gives you their story, they're going to give you that dollar. So if you're able to communicate, have a great conversation. Sometimes I don't even have to talk about plants, vegetables, or anything. Sometimes people just talk about their mom or dad and what their memories. That's mainly in my field. I hear a lot of memories. And once you listen to folks, you make that connection and you have a customer for life. It's hard if you choose not to, but it's always easy to listen. Most of the times people just want to talk, and if they give you their story, they will give you your dollar. You don't even have to push the sale. I have people who come out and give me extra money sometimes just because they can find a relation. Any person that comes to your website, I was thinking about customers. Each person has a different reason for supporting something. Absolutely. Somebody might support me because I'm a Black woman-owned business. Somebody might support me because I have the okra that they haven't seen since they were 12. Story, dollar. Just always remember, there's a reason why someone's supporting you, and you never know why. It could be you look like their uncle, Yeah. But it's really nice to support you. And you always want their memory to be great. Your word is your bond.
Yeah, and it's one thing I always say is that you need the customers more than the customers need you. Now, I know there's not a whole lot of Black-owned farms in the Houston area, but at the same time, you still have competition.
Exactly.
So people can buy their produce anywhere, but if you talk about creating that experience, because and I thought it was cool on your website, you have that mission statement to really make it a community-led thing, to where it's not just about the food, it's about coming together as a community and learning new skills. Because you're right, somebody may come out there and say, look, she taught my kid how to plant okra. Let's go buy from her. That's there with the memories. Now, we talked about you talked a little bit about the apparel and the food. What type of dealing with animals do you do? Because I know that'd be a little bit more difficult in our urban area.
Definitely. So I have chickens. We have horses. I started bottle calves. Early, and then I sent them to my cousin's larger farm in Dallas. So the bottle calves were easy. this is how you make a milk bottle. This is how you feed a calf. Some kids have never been that close to calves, or just cows in general. But there's always a 2-year-old who is obsessed with cows, so their parents are bringing them out. I even had a family come take family pictures with the cow. So
hey, that might be a new revenue stream for you.
Exactly. So if you think about it, those are the animals that we do have. But if we might bring goats, baby animals are suitable, and then we send them out. But where we're situated, you would never think it existed. We're on 5 to 10 acre plots. My neighbors have 10, my other neighbors have 5, and everybody's like a homesteading type street.
That's incredible to be able to have that kind of stuff in the city limits.
Definitely.
Now, one thing is, it's not really about your business, but I do like to talk about this, is you went to HBCU. And here in Mississippi, we have 5 HBCUs. We also have some great PWIs as well. But for some of these young people that may be wanting to go to college, even if they don't have any interest in being an entrepreneur, what are some things that an HBCU can offer that maybe some of the PWIs don't? Because I know in the Houston area, you got UH, which is a great school. You got Rice, and you also have
Texas Southern.
Yeah,
Texas Southern right there. Yeah.
You got Houston Baptist. So you got some great schools of all types there in the Houston area, as we do in Mississippi. But what does the HBCU experience specifically offer? Because I know here in Mississippi, we have Alcorn, which is a great agriculture program if somebody was interested in agriculture business. So just talk a little bit about your HBCU experience as a young Black girl in Texas.
Definitely. So I come from an HBCU family. My mom went to Howard and Fisk. My dad went to Texas Southern. My brother went to Texas Southern. My sister graduated from Prairie View, and all my aunts went to Howard. So I come from a long line of successful HBCU graduates. What an HBCU can do for you is everything down to the knitting, skateboarding, walking across the street club is made for Black students, people of color. And then when I say people of color, that is any race that has some kind of whatever. There is a club, an organization. You don't feel like you're out of place. There's not a Black student union. There's not a area for Black people to stand per se. So an HBCU is a place for you to exist. They're all different socioeconomic statuses. You'll meet people from all over the world. And so I would say hey, we're back. Okay. I would say that my HBCU experience allowed for me to grow as a Black woman and erase some of the stigmas that I had of myself about our own people, right? So I know being in Mississippi is a lot different from being in Texas. But you'll meet people from New York, people who fly from California, people who are from all over, but they're still Black and you still have common culture ground. I ended up graduating as Miss Prairie View A&M University.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
So I was able to travel with some of my great friends, graduated from Alabama State, great friends who went to Tuskegee. So I was able to meet so many different types of people. So it's like having your own club when you leave college. Just like you would in any other college, I would say, but the HBCU experience, when you think about everything that is made for you, is for you. And I'm going to say this, and I know it's going to sound bad, but if you don't want to go to college, at least go for one semester. If you can get accepted, party as much as you can, meet as many people as you can, and leave. Because if you, I met some great people. Meg the Stallion was at Prairie View. I was her CA. Some really great celebrities, DJ Chose, all these people started at college. You're in your target audience, your target culture. So even if you're going to go hustle, right? You need 18 to 21-year-olds. They're going to share, they're going to wear, and they're going to buy because it's what's hot. That's where a lot of people got started.
Yeah, and we actually have 2 HBCU community colleges in Mississippi as well, which is an anomaly. So even if you just want to go to the community college, the HBCU experience, and learn a trade, that is something that is available in Mississippi as well.
Definitely.
And also, I think it's important for people to understand, anybody watching this later as well, historically Black does not mean exclusively Black.
Exactly.
Jackson State has one of the largest international populations of any university in the United States, literally from every continent. And it's and I agree, you're going to meet people from all over the world. And those business networking ties can come in very, very handy later on life. I mean, even if you don't make the best grades, the network and the people that you meet can be your customer base. Definitely. But I do have some questions I want to get to from the students, and these are all entrepreneurship students that have come up with their own business concepts as well.
Awesome.
And this first one is Justin Clerk. He's a senior. And he asked, what are the, or he just want to know what all types of vegetables do you grow?
So I call myself growing culturally relevant produce, which is collards, mustards, okra, things that you can't get at the grocery store, right? I will never be able in Texas to grow the best onion. It's just not going to happen. The soil's not, it's not made. So I grow the things that people haven't seen in before, whether it's a patty pan squash or they haven't seen since they were younger, something that they're going to spend their dollar on. So I grow culturally relevant produce, different types of collards, different types of mustards, turnip greens, okra, garlic. I tried garlic and onions. I don't grow watermelons because there's too many watermelon farmers. But yeah, that's what I grow.
But you do sell the watermelon seeds, right?
I do sell watermelon seeds, yeah. And those seeds I got basically white labeled, so I didn't actually grow them.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Now, and along with that, because you talked about you grow the things that you can't get other places, that also allows you to charge a little bit more, even if it's just $1. You know,
exactly.
All that adds up, because if people know they have to go to you to come get it, people will pay for what they can't get somewhere else.
Exactly.
And I think that's that's again, that's knowing your target market. This is Miles Woodard, also a senior, and he asked, looking back from where you started, do you think you have gotten close to your overall goal?
Yes. So my goal was set out to bring fresh produce to the neighborhood. I didn't know I would open up a grocery store, right? But opening up a grocery store, I think it wasn't in the video. So I'm opening up a grocery store, should be open at the end of this month. And that solves my system. Creating food education, having an outlet, because the worst thing you can do is plant a seed and not have a place for it to go. So I have seed to door and seed to store. And wow. So that is what I complete for Ivy Leaf Farms, right? I still have and now my goal is to make it as self-sustainable as possible, so that Ivy Leaf Farms is here and Ivy Walls is here, and Ivy Walls can move on to her next thing, because I'm only 28.
That's incredible. I mean, but it's also important it's important to not grow too fast, but to have that goal in your mission and vision. And we'll talk about that with this class coming up too. So to have all that in mind, unless you map out a plan. Now, this is a great question here, and I wanted to talk about this anyway. So this is a good question coming from Octavia Johnson. She's also a senior, and she asked, what type of employees do you have to help you run the business?
Definitely. So I'm my top employee. I have my father, who's a farmhand. He helps me build things. I have a COO to help me with some of the operations that happen through email, coordinating people to come out to the farm, coordinating events. And then I have a lead agriculturalist. She just graduated from Prairie View with her agriculture degree. She has more knowledge than I have on growing. And so I hire them as consultants. They're 1099 employees, and they work per hourly. So I'm able to control how much money I have for the month. So if I have fluctuations, then I'm able to say, hey, you can only work 20 hours this month. I can only pay you this much this month. And so that gives me that flexibility. Now, granted, it's not a great business structure yet until I can bring them on full time, but because I have them written into a grant, I can do that.
And it also gives them flexibility as well as 1099 employees. Because that a lot of times that works better than people realize. Some people want a 1099 just as a side gig. So
exactly. And both of them have jobs. Really, both of them have jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, because I definitely do 1099 work, and I will always do 1099 work because it's so flexible. So, depending on your business model, that can be very useful. Now, she also asked, this is coming from Octavia again, or what are the biggest risks of being a Black business owner?
The biggest risk of being a Black business owner, I don't think there are many risks other than being any other type of business owner. I think you have more rewards being a Black business owner because we're able to market as a Black business owner, as a Black woman business owner. I would say the biggest risk to any business owner are taxes and insurance.
Yeah, and that's where you have to look at where you're opening. You have to look at the property tax, because even here in the Jackson area, the property tax per our 3 counties varies widely, and it is absolutely unbelievable. That is so different, and you got to do your research on that. And that's a big deal. And then you got to look at what you have to pay people, and that goes back to your 1099. If they're full-time employees, there are certain things you have to pay them.
Exactly.
Even though Texas is different, that is important for anybody. This is, I guess, one more from the students. This is Amarion Bolden, also a senior. And he asked, with everything that you do, how do you maintain and keep up the health of the plants and the animals?
So lead agriculturalist, she's out to look for pests. If we need to make sure that we need to fertilize. So that is her job description. And I live very close to the farm. I mean, it's my job. So you're going to walk the fields, you're going to count your animals. So it's not really much of a stressor, being that is my business, is to make sure that I'm producing, make sure that I'm educating, making sure I have a safe place for people to come. It's not easy, but I don't do anything else, right? So it's my job.
Now, before we go, and thank you so much for taking some time for us. I think it's important to understand the importance of not just of agriculture business, but agriculture in general. Because without agriculture in this country, we have no clothes, we have no food, we have no shelter, we're in the dark, and we have no running water. And then on top of that, less than 2% of all farmers in the United States are Black. Much less Black females. So why do you think it is so important to not only push your business for the survival of the economy, but to diversify the faces of that business?
Definitely. Representation matters. Representation is the biggest thing. Oftentimes in our communities, we don't realize that we can do something until we see somebody that looks like us, talks like us, walks like us, that can do it, right? So representation is really important. And I think I missed the last part. The first part of what you said.
Why is it so important to get out the importance of agriculture and agriculture education?
Definitely. So we live in a world where humans, food, water, shelter are our basic needs, right? If you're not a part of your own food system and the system that is created for us collapse, you can't be a human anymore, right? Also, most of us have some relative or someone with some type of land that knows how to take care of the land in our family history or in our current environment. You have to be able to be able to take care of the earth if you want to continue to be a human. That is the only way we're going to survive as humans. The toilet paper crisis was big, right? But if you know which 3 leaves you can pull off to make something happen, then you're okay. So I would say it's important not only to know agriculture, but to know how to be a human inside of this world.
That's awesome. Well, again, Ivy Walls, thank you so much for joining us. Ivy Leaf Farms there in Sunnyside, Houston, Texas. Before we go, tell us where they can find the information for Ivy Leaf Farms online.
Definitely. You can follow me on Instagram at Ivy Leaf Farms and website ivyleaffarms.com. And Black Farmer Box is another business. And Jeep and While Black. I have a lot of different businesses. You can find me personally at the Ivy Files. So the Ivy Files is me. All my businesses are listed underneath there.
Yeah, and I mean, just from the little while I've been following, great Instagram follow, great stuff out there. You. Again, we thank you so much for joining us. I got to get out there to Houston to see you guys.
Definitely come and see us.
All right, talk to you soon, my friend.
All right, y'all have a good school year.
See ya.